Hey, are you a working musician? Or maybe an aspiring musician that's hoping to one day become a working musician? Then chances are you didn't get into this thing because you were looking to become a millionaire overnight or something like that. Most likely you got into it for the love and the passion of the music. I know that was the reason for me. Listen, I'm Jermaine Morgan, musician, songwriter, producer, artist, teacher, speaker, and several other titles that fall under that same category of music. And I mention all those titles for a reason. I've been a musician for about 26 years. And of those 26 years, I've been a professional musician for about 15 years. And throughout that time, I've learned so much as it pertains to my own journey and my own success as a musician that's allowed me to take care of my family, and that's allowed me to grow even in my own endeavors as an entrepreneur, not just a musician, but an actual entrepreneur. And I actually wanted to share some of these things that I've done in my own journey that helped me to grow and to have my own success, not always worrying about the next gig or who's gonna call me next in order for me to provide income and me to be able to take care of my family, actually creating something for myself. So I actually wrote this book called 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician. And in this book, I wanted to show you practical ways that I've used that have been tried and proven that actually work to help you create your own income. And it might be some things that you may be overlooking if you are a working musician, because I know many times we can get caught up in the next gig, the next call, the next session, the next this, the next that, to the point that we're not looking to create anything for our own selves. We're waiting on someone else to call us. But in this book, I just want to challenge you to be more resourceful through my own personal journey, through my own personal story, so you can possibly look at some things you might have been looking over the years that could have been costing you some major success in areas that you never even thought about. So I encourage you to pick this book up. You can find it on Amazon, again, 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician by Jermaine Morgan, myself. Or if you want a more personalized copy signed by me, you can find that on my website at jermainemorgan.net. Listen, I really appreciate you for taking out the time to check out this video, and I just wanted to leave you with one last word of encouragement. If you are a musician, you don't have to become famous to become a success. I'll see you soon. I know most of you are familiar with that sound, and for those of you who are not, it's called the shout, more commonly known now as the bump in gospel music. It's something that you hear pretty commonly in churches today all over America, and I happen to be at one of these churches here in Atlanta. That's what you just seen me playing at that big old church. For most of you that know me, you know me as the YouTube bass dude that puts these videos up all the time, but for everybody else that knows me here in Atlanta, that's where you'll find me every week on Sundays, Wednesdays, sometimes Saturdays. So that's where I spend the majority of my time. And in those times, you have those spontaneous outbursts, it's called shouts, that happen, when the spirit gets high in the church and that kind of thing. Most of you are familiar with that if you grew up in the church and you grew up in the church environment and that kind of thing. But there are some people who didn't grow up in that environment, or even if you did grow up in that environment, you are not used to what the shout has kind of became over the last 10 to 15 years. The shout has definitely changed. It's morphed. It's still pretty much the same thing, that straight foot stomp, hand clap thing, but the chord changes have changed a bit over the years. Kind of got to be prepared for it. Something you just kind of got to know, because there's no rehearsal most of the time for these things. They just happen on the fly, and you have to be prepared for them. So what I've done is I've created a course for bass players to help you in this area, to help you be more prepared, because I know that's something that can be a struggle for most of you out there, especially if you're trying to already keep up with all this modern music and everything that's going on. I just wanted to kind of help give you an edge in that area. So check it out. I've created the 5-week Shout Bump Bass course. And each week we'll cover a different scene. I'll show you the progression. I'll show you different variations of bass lines. I'll show you a few licks that you can add to spice up your playing and that kind of thing. So when these moments do happen in church, you'll have a little advantage. And with this course as well, we've created a backing track so you can have to work on your own time as you practice, as you prepare yourself for Sunday worship, or if you're just a person who would like to know how to play this. You might not even play in a church. You just want to know more about gospel music, more about playing in this type of environment. Trust me, this backing track will give you this kind of feeling of playing in that environment. So if you're a bass player that's struggling in this area, I have a solution for you. Right after this video, head on over to JermaineMorgan.net to the Shout Bump Bass course. And trust me, you'll be glad that you did. I'll see you there. Take care. Good morning, good people. I see we have folks already in the comment section speaking this morning. Junior, I think I've spoke to a few of you already, but good morning to you. Those were some pre-recorded videos, if you will. I noticed I was listening to the Shout video, and it's like I was telling you guys that I play at that church. Listen, that Shout video commercial was recorded about 5 years ago, I want to say. So I'm no longer at that church anymore. But all is still the same in terms of the content, the information that's on the course is still good, it's still valid, still relevant for anybody that's interested in that kind of stuff. So definitely wanted to say good morning to everybody. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Who's that? Junior, Anthony, good morning. Music for Jesus. Tanya, good morning. T, good morning to you. Angel, good morning. Anthony Robinson, good morning. He said your Shout courses are the real deal. They work. Man, I'm glad that you said that, Anthony. I'm glad that they have worked for you. And for anybody else who's taken the courses, I'm glad that this stuff has been a help to you. That was the idea when I did it, to make sure that I'm providing you with material that's definitely adding value. Good morning. Good morning. KM, good morning to you. So, all right, let's jump right into this groove. I had this, I put together a little track this morning, a little backing track to jam out to, just a little loop. And I was going to play around to it, but you guys can continue to drop in the comments, as usual. If you're here, I forgot to tell you, I am Jermaine Morgan. If you didn't know, by the way, this is Grooves and Motivation Live. And you can drop in the comments where you're watching from in the world. Let me know. Also, are you on your way to work this morning? Just getting off of work? What time is it where you are? Some of you guys might be getting ready to go to bed. So let me know where you're watching. You can drop it in the comments. I'll see it. I might not respond right away, but I will see it. Let's get into some of this groove and see what we can do with it this morning. All right. Some of y'all might know this. Yeah. Yeah, so I just kind of had that idea in my head this morning. I started playing around with it. Not much, pretty repetitious. Uh, Hallelujah. It's actually a ballad. I just decided to put a groove to it. Many of you guys, if you grew up in church, at some point you heard that song. Something like that. All right, so good morning, everybody. Everybody that I haven't spoke to already. B.E. Wool says, man, before you even played the melody, I was already humming it. Good stuff, man. I'm glad you caught it. Christian DML from Indonesia. Um, what do you think is the best bass for gospel? That's hard to say. That's really, really hard to say. I'll say whatever bass I have my hands on at the time is going to be the best bass for gospel in that situation. Because it really comes down to you. It comes down to your hands. It comes down to your personal preference, your personal tone. It really depends on the song. Not being too dismissive to the question. It a lot of times, especially when it's a studio recording situation for me, it depends on what I'm looking for in the song. I might have a bass that does it all. And obviously, go-tos for a lot of people are Fender bass, but I'm not saying that that's the only thing that can work, because also in gospel, you hear a lot of sounds of basses that are not Fenders, like MTDs, your Ken Smiths, your so many others, Serene for me, Warrior bass, so many other sounds that you've heard. Tobias, we can go on and on naming names of incredible basses. Some people, prefer Lakeland, and we can get into a name war when we're trying to figure out what's the best bass. So I'll say with gospel music, the genre is so wide, as I've talked about. If any of you guys have checked out any of my straight gospel or my bass jams, that I cover a lot of different styles of gospel. Gospel is so broad, you can really get away with a lot of stuff with gospel, and almost any bass would work. You just got to know what to do with it when you get it in your hands. That, to me, it's more so about the player and what that player knows to do with the instrument that's in his hand, rather than the type of bass that's the best bass. Because you can have the quote unquote best bass and you can't play and you still up the creek. So if you know what to do, I can take a Peavey and get the job done. I could take a little Rogue bass that I used to play on back in the day. I can get the job done with whatever you put in my hand. It's just a matter of me knowing what to do with it when I get the instrument in my hand. All right, so let's see here. Pennsylvania is checking in. Appreciate that, Angel. Who did I miss? Puerto Rico. ADL Perez, if I'm saying that correctly. Good morning to you. Calvin says, what are some good strings for gospel using slap and fingerstyle, like the high end of Andrew, but also want the low as well? Excuse me. I'm going to always plug what I've been using. I've been rocking with SIT strings for years. SIT Power Wound. These are nickel strings, and I've been rocking these for years. That's what I have on this bass right now. It's about time for me to change my strings, but they still got a little life left to them, Take that reverb off. Yeah, they got a little life left to them, but I can tell they're dead, or they're dying rather. I'm sorry, they're not dying, but for my taste, sometimes I'm fickle. Sometimes I like to have them slightly dead, and other times it's like I like to hear a little bit more bite from the string. But even with them being older, they still got a lot of character still left in them. So yeah, I'm normally using the SIT Power Wound strings, and again, all of this stuff that you guys are asking, it all comes down to preference. It really comes down to preference. I'm not gonna get into string calling. That's my pick. That's what I use there. I've been rocking them for about 10 years, and I've put them on any bass, as well as there were some that I was giving out, the Rock Brights. I think the R&B, the Rock Bright strings, and there was another one, the Foundation, that I use. All of them are great strings. It really matters what you like at the end of the day. It all comes down to preference. With this gear and with the instruments and all this stuff, it all comes down to preference. Do you hear a difference in each thing that you play? Of course, but it's gonna always come back to what you like and what you want to hear. You have several bases, as you can see in this room, but depending on what I'm looking for in a particular thing, or depending on what I want to do, how I feel, that's going to determine the instrument that I pick up, you know. And so again, it always comes back down to preference. I can have all these basses laying out in this room, and a cat will come in here and pick up a Fender, or he'll pick up the Squier bass before he touched this bass, because it comes down to preference, right? It doesn't mean either one of these basses are better than the other. That can even come down to a preference argument. Of course, as a professional, we're going to logically say, okay, the bass that had the most time put into it and the most craftsmanship and all this kind of stuff is the better bass. But again, that's an argue of preference. So it all comes down to what you like at the end of the day. So that's my answer to that. Floppy says, I'm listening while working in the paint shop. Hope you are well, sir. Man, I'm great. I am great. I have no complaints this morning. I'm great. K. Oliver, Keith, man, what's I was gonna say what's wrong. Good morning, man. Hope all is well with you. Hope all is well, man. Good to see you in the building. In Spanish, my name will sound like Adiel. Okay, I got you. Not sure if that helps. I think it does, man. I think it does. Great to be here learning. Great to have you. Great to have everyone who's watching us this morning. Yeah, just wanted to jump on this morning and share a little bit with you guys. I didn't have a whole bunch to just drag out the time with, but I did want to jump on really quick and share some grooves and some motivation. Hopefully you enjoyed my little rendition of Hallelujah. Um, John says, love the channel, brother. Much continued success and great videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't explored this channel, I do more than just grooves and motivation. There's a lot of content here on this channel that I'm sure you guys, if you're new to the bass or if you've been here for a while, you'll find a lot of this content helpful. So be sure to do a binge and just search the channel and see what you can find. Just hit that subscribe button, turn on my notifications so you know when I go live. I do as well as doing lesson videos. I have tons of lesson videos on this channel. I also do gear reviews. A lot of times I'll review different instruments, that kind of thing. So there's a lot happening here on this channel. So be sure you subscribe. Where do you get them from? Where do I get? I'm guessing you're talking about the strings, SIT strings. I think you could get them on Amazon. I mean, if your local music store doesn't have them, you can probably order them off of Amazon. But if you want to go to the website, I think it's sitstrings.com. You can go and check out, the different strings, different string options that they have there as well. So, yeah. Idea. Yeah. That's how it sounds. Good deal, man. I said it right. I'm always happy when I say someone's name correctly. Adiel. All right. I got you, man. That's cool. I like how that's pronounced. That's kind of cool. All right. So, all right. Moving on. I had, and you guys, again, you can keep dropping in the comment. I always love to chat. So you can keep dropping in the comment. It's all good. I'll respond to it after I get my thoughts together, after I finish what I'm saying. I noticed when I used to respond to the comments while I was talking, sometimes I lose my whole train of thought because I start focusing on whatever you guys said in the comments. So if I don't get to you right away, do know that I am saying hello and good morning and all that stuff. Good morning, Tiffany, just in case I didn't speak to you already. Who else do we have? Kenny says, if I want to book you for a show, how do I get in contact with you? Good morning, by the way. Great question, man. I'm going to put a link. You can, one is book jmorganbass@gmail.com, but I'm gonna put a link here. Let me see. I'm gonna give you a link here in the chat, and this link is actually for consulting, but it's all the same. You can still get to me from this link. So I'm gonna shoot this link just in case anybody else has that same question. I'm gonna put it in the chat. That way you can open that window up and just pin it, right? Good morning, Paul. Good morning to you. Team Ramrod, good morning, Jermaine, and all. God bless you. So yeah, I'll put that in the chat so you can check that out, right? So my thoughts for this morning is gratitude versus adversity. That's an interesting one. Gratitude versus adversity. I have a lot of, I'm not going to say a lot, but I have a good bit of students who are, no problem, Kenny. I have a good bit of students who are on this musical journey who at some point hope to play on a professional level, or some of them are already playing on a professional level and they hope to continue to grow and expand in their career. And one of the things people don't often highlight is the pitfalls of what we do. I've heard people say about healthcare and all that kind of stuff, how it's a thankless job. You know, oftentimes, and I'm not taking anything away from that by any means, but oftentimes being a musician can also be a thankless job, depending on what you're doing. And people from the outside looking in could look at it from the standpoint, well, especially if you're playing on a big stage, it's like, well, you get all of this, you know, you get the love and you get the instant gratification from the people who you're playing for on the stage. That's true in a lot of cases. It is, you get a lot of admiration from fans and that kind of thing, but that's not always the case. Those are generally the highlights of everything, and most people don't experience that. The average musician don't get to experience that. The average musician learns a lot of music and probably go plays a gig where half of the people aren't paying attention anyway to anything you're playing until the drummer takes a solo, right? Or the keyboard player or some other featured instrument, sax or something like that. But if you're the bass player, they're probably going to be going and reeing up on the nachos or something like that when it's time for you to do your solo. Right? Because that frequency gets lost. And this is not a small violin song for bass players. Oh, woe is me. No, I'm not clowning on my other musicians that play, because sometimes I take another role in the band too. I might play something different. So anyway, but oftentimes, to my point, it can be a thankless job. You do all of this work, you put a lot of time in, and you play these songs, especially if you play for a church. You play these songs, and oftentimes you don't even hear as much as a thank you. It's just you do your job, you leave, you go home. You know what I'm saying? And people don't know the amount of time that you put in doing this thing. And oftentimes people look at your career as a hobby, or your career as something that doesn't require a lot of effort. And I think that's perceived simply because we look like we're having a good time. Most of us look like we're having a good time. So if you're having this much fun doing this, there's no way there can be any work involved in this, right? But what people don't understand a lot of times, it's the perception of fun. Now, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes that you're having a blast on the stage, but other times it's just simply stage presence. You have to present it as if you're having a great time, especially if you're in you're kind of in a funk, in the middle of a funk where you've kind of lost your passion for it. You kind of lost the enthusiasm. You've lost the energy for it. You're presenting it as if you're having fun, but a lot of musicians are leaving and walking away from the stage dealing with massive depression, dealing with anxiety. Some of these cats are playing out here and they don't know how they're going to pay their bills when they get off that stage, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different things that are going on within the lives of different individuals, musicians, that people don't know about. And even if you're not a musician, because I know I have more than musicians that watch this channel, but whatever the thing you're doing, oftentimes people don't know the adversity that's associated with what we do. because everything is not guaranteed, and we're all not going to get the big calls. For some of you, that's somebody like a Beyonce. For some of you that are in the gospel world, that's somebody like a Ty Tribbett, a Todd Dulaney, all these big huge gospel names that we look to. And then for some of us who've done it on a professional level like myself, oftentimes when you get to a certain thing, it's not what you thought it was going to be. And that can be disheartening. Like once you finally arrive, so to speak, and then you really get to see things for how they really are. And it's like, you mean to tell me I worked this hard to get here and this is it? This is like, this is it. This is it. Really. It can be, it can be disappointing. I'll say that to say the least. It can be disappointing. You can meet artists who completely ruin it for you. I know that happened to me a lot. I constantly meet a lot of different artists, playing for these different artists, and you've admired their music all of these years, and then you finally meet them in person, or you finally play for them in person. It's like they completely ruin it. They ruin the whole experience. Like you do a studio session or something with somebody, and they just completely ruin it for you. You get to find out stuff you didn't know about these people, and you had a high level of respect for them, and it's like, man, that just ruined it. Yeah. When we sit down one on one, I'll tell you some of these stories, but I'm not going to do it here publicly. I'll just say, oftentimes in the music industry, it's not always what it seems. We have that thing where the grass seems greener on the other side of what it is we're doing. I'm at this place in my career. I was talking to my wife last night. I'm letting you guys in on some top secret stuff right here. But I was talking to my wife last night. I was like, as a musician, my ambitions have changed. My desires, my hopes, my dreams. Don't get me wrong. There's things I still want to accomplish as a musician, but a lot of things I've already done. A lot of things I've already accomplished. And certain things that I see people grasping at, like crabs in a barrel, they're trying so hard to get to something. And it's like, for me, it's more important for me to walk completely in who I am rather than the next gig, the next call, the next opportunity, the next placement as a songwriter. All these different things are great, and they help you to build your catalog. They help you to have a great resume. They help you to have a great bio read when you're doing something. All these things are great. But what's even better than that, knowing who you are when you don't have this instrument in your hand, knowing who you are minus the stage, right? I've probably did less playing out and less performances over the last 2.5 years than I ever have in my life. And I feel like I'm more in tune with who I am, and more confident about what I have to offer as a musician versus all these other years I've been on these major stages playing with all these different artists, struggling with different things, not to say I didn't know who I was all those years, but oftentimes you can be so caught up into trying to be something that you think people want you to be, or trying to play the part, that you never really get time to rest on being you. You never get time to fully embrace what it is to be you fully, without restriction, without an apology about who you are, the type of music you want to play, the type of music you want to create. So in this phase of my life, I'm like, I see certain things, and it's like I have no desire to be a part of certain musical things that I see. Like I see, colleagues and peers posting online different music opportunities that they have, and I look at them, and you think being a musician is like, man, I want to do that. And it's like, for me, it's like, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I don't want no part of that at all. And these are great opportunities for musicians, and I'm looking at it like, I'm good on all of that. I don't want that. And again, this is me speaking personally for me. This is where I am in my career, my journey. You might be in a completely different space. But what I found, to the point, in every phase of your journey, if you can learn how to practice gratitude for whatever stage you find yourself in, because we always have that one day mentality concerning what we do. Well, when I get here, then I'll do this. Or when I get that bass like Jermaine got, or a bass like, Justin Raines has, or Andrew Goucher's bass, or Matt Garrison's bass, or whoever. Once we get this thing, then we'll be happy. We're always delaying gratitude for some rare occasion that may never happen. We're delaying that gratitude, and oftentimes we're pushing off the opportunity to really enjoy where we are now in this moment, to fully be in this moment, to fully embrace everything that's going on in this current moment. And I'm learning more and more to value simplicity. Just really, it sounds simple, but it's a profound statement to me. Just the sheer value of simplicity. Like, it didn't take a whole bunch for me now to be happy. It didn't take a whole bunch. I ain't hard to please. I got simple things that I like, simple things that bring me joy, and my value isn't found in this instrument or how well I play or who validates me as a player. It's cool if somebody, comment on a post that I didn't expect to comment, or I get a follow from some famous person that I've admired all my life, or those type things. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy those things, but my value isn't wrapped up in that. At one point it was. Being this musician, we're forced to wear so many hats. And when I mean that, I mean like costumes. Depending on the gig you're playing, you're expected to be this person for this gig, and you're expected to be that person for that gig. You walk in on this session, they're expecting you to play a part. You're playing a role. I need you to be this bass player. Oftentimes when you go into these different musical situations, they'll tell you, I need you to play me some Jamerson, give me some Jocko, give me this, give me that. They're always asking you to do other things, unless you've built a strong identity for yourself, and then of course they want you to be you. But oftentimes in these musical situations, even if they're not directly asking you to do it, because you might say, man, nobody's asking me to do that. Well, if you're learning other people's songs and you're playing other people's music, you're having to fit that mold as your job description. You're to play that role and play that part. If you want to keep working, you have to sound like that record. You have to sound like whatever that bass player sound like. So now I have to take on the identity. This is what I mean. I have to take on the identity of this musician. And then I have to take on the identity of that musician for that song. So where I'm always in this place of where I'm jumping, trying to be something else or trying to be somebody else. And oftentimes that doesn't breed a lot of gratitude. It's just like, all right, I got to do this, and then it's on to the next. There's not a lot of time for gratitude. It's not a lot of time for gratitude. I'm on to the next thing. Whatever the next best thing is, whatever the next best gig is, I got to learn this music. I got to, be ready. I got to be polished. I got to be on it and come here. And, even the people who are the pocket purists, like, you can't do anything out of the pocket, dude. You're not going to work. I'm seeing it so much, don't get me wrong. Pocket is very important. And, if I'm MDing a band, I definitely want cats to play pocket. It has its place. But what happens oftentimes from that is you're stripped of your creativity. You're stripped of the ability, and oftentimes, to be original, to be creative. Now, we celebrate originals who do their own thing, but oftentimes it's like people look down on you for trying to be original, because you should be doing this. This is the status quo of how a bass player should be. You know what I'm saying? So you're fighting that tug of war between, well, I want to learn some more stuff, and I want to stretch out, and I want to be a little bit more creative. Of course, y'all know, if you've been here before, I compare this thing to bass playing, but apply it to any area of your life that it applies. You know what I'm saying? I want to get down here past this 12th fret and just experiment, just so I'll know. Not that I'm trying to solo over a song. I just want to know. You've done it. Because most of the time it comes from the older players who've now gotten more mature in their playing. They've had the gigs. They know what it takes. They've made the mistakes. And a lot of what they say, they mean well when they say, hey, you need to stay in the pocket if you want to work. Well, they mean well with what they say, but they learn to do that over time. But if you go back to their earlier videos or their earlier recordings, they all over that thing. You know what I'm saying? They getting down. Or if you go back to the early years of them playing, they were all over it. They were experimenting. They were trying. That's how you find out what's unique to you, by trying it. But if you're being stripped of that opportunity to try different ideas, you're just kind of put into a mode of, all right, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. So again, all of these things, all of these variables strip away the gratitude. So now when adversity shows up, you have nothing to fight it with because you don't practice gratitude. We don't practice gratitude because I've been doing all these other things, trying to play a role, trying to play a part, trying to please people. And when I'm people pleasing, it's hard for me to be grateful because I'm not thinking about what I have. I'm thinking about what I'm missing. I'm thinking about what's not there. I'm thinking about somebody else being satisfied as opposed to being grateful for what I have, grateful for where I am, grateful for what I've accomplished, giving myself credit. One of the things I try to do with my students is I try to reinforce the idea of celebrating small wins. I say that because that's something that I struggle with throughout my journey, throughout my career. Not that I'm at the end of it, but that's something I constantly used to struggle with, is celebrating small wins, because that's not something that I grew up knowing anything about. I didn't know how to celebrate anything. Like, I'm still working through that now as an adult with my kids, figuring out how to celebrate little small wins. And think about it. I mean, if you Western culture, what do we do to celebrate anything? We eat. That's all we do. It's like, all right, such and such did good at school. All right, let's go out and eat. You know what I'm saying? We just won. We just won this game. What we're going to do? We're going to go out and eat. That's the only thing we know to celebrate. But there are other ways to celebrate small victories that we have. One of the things I mentioned on one of my lessons the other day, I said, if you learn the intro, if you're like on a beginner level as a player, and you've been working really hard on trying to figure this intro out of this song, because y'all know, especially if you playing gospel, this stuff can be crazy. You with some Chick Corea intro, and it takes you forever to learn it. But when you learn that intro, maybe you didn't have the whole song learned, but you learn the intro. So give yourself credit for the fact that you learned the intro. Like, celebrate yourself, man. Good job, man. Way to go, Jay, man. You put that work in, dude. You got it. It's like, it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to go get a meal. You know, it ain't a cheap meal opportunity for you. But when you saw that you done something that was worth celebrating, you put the effort in. I'm going to figure this out, man. I'm going to figure this thing out today. Celebrate that small win. Because what you do is you validate your commitment to yourself, right? You validate your commitment to yourself when you start celebrating that small win. And the more you start celebrating small stuff, the more you can be grateful for the small stuff. But when we never celebrate the small stuff because in our mind it's too small. Oh man, that's just the intro. I still got the other part of the song to learn. But let's celebrate the fact that you got the intro. That don't mean stop, put a flag down and go do something else. That means no, stop and acknowledge that you done something that you said you were going to do. I feel like our word, especially as musicians, I feel like our word doesn't carry enough weight anymore. I feel like our word doesn't hold enough value, not like it should anymore. People are more interested in what people think about them rather than being who we say we are all the time, whether anybody agrees with it or not, right? Letting your word be your word. So that starts with keeping your word to yourself. If I said I'm going to sit here, I'm going to work and try to get 10 hours of practice in this week. Well, maybe my bass playing at the end of that week don't sound as great as I thought it would sound. But doggone it, I put in 11 hours. And I'm going to celebrate the fact I put the work in. Maybe I didn't see the result that I wanted to see. Maybe something came up throughout the week that kept keeping me from getting my hours in, and I had to do 3 hours one day when I was only planning on doing an hour and a half that particular day. Things come up, adversity happens, but how do I respond to that adversity? Not how do I react to it, but how do I respond to it? Because if I stop and approach that situation with gratitude, rather than being irritated, annoyed by it, I approach that situation with gratitude, keeping in mind that I've been celebrating myself. My whole mindset starts to change. The way I see things, the way I see my situation, the way I see learning an instrument, the way I see opportunities as a musician, the way I see creativity starts to change simply by practicing gratitude, giving myself credit, and acknowledging the things that are good going on around me. If I ask everybody, man, how's it going? Uh, and be honest, tell me what's going on, man. Like if I did a coaching call, be honest, tell me what's going on. Most of the time, people can flow with negativity. You'll never have to stop them. They'll keep going. They can give you all kind of stuff. But if you stop them, put the brakes on and say, well, tell me something good that's going on. They have to pause and think about it. And that should not be. Because I guarantee you, there's more good going on than bad. It don't look that way because oftentimes good things are overlooked. Negative things have a bigger impact. For whatever reason, negative things talk louder. But the good things, like the easy things, we overlook. I'm going to bring some of y'all back to square one, beginner basics, not just bass playing, beginner basics. You begin your day. You got up out of the bed. Your eyes opened, right? You can hear. You can smell. You can taste. Some of you guys, you ate some good stuff this morning, right? Or you're working on something right now. But all of these things that we look over, your hands are working. I have an opportunity. I ain't figuring this stuff out. My hand's moving a little slow, but if I change that around, if I change the things that I say about what it is I'm doing, I start to change my confession about what I say. It's like, man, I just can't seem to get my hands together, my speed. I'm trying to get my speed up. It's like, no, let's change that. Let's change that confession. You know what? I'm so grateful that my hands are working properly. I need to still work on my speed, but I'm going to get that. But I'm just grateful today, because gratitude is a daily thing. We have to practice this daily. Remember, in order for it to become a habit, we have to continuously practice this thing. So I look at it and I say, you know what? I'm grateful that my limbs are working correctly. I'm grateful I'm not in pain while I'm trying to do this. I'm grateful that I have my fingers, because there are people who are doing more with less. I want you to keep that in mind. There are people who are doing more with less. You got a lot more than a lot of people. The fact that you have a base, trust and believe. I have people emailing me all the time asking me to give them a base and give them lessons, all these different things that they want me to give. But a lot of these people are in situations that's all they got. It's like, hey, I got to shoot my shot. He might bite. He might say yes. He might say no. I don't blame these people for shooting their shot, because when you need help, you got to do something. You got to do something. But having gratitude and just being grateful for just the small things. See how many things you can look around today and just be grateful for. You might have a car that's on its last leg, but does it get you from A to B? Be grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that saved me, especially during this whole pandemic, now coming up on 2 years that we've been dealing with, is gratitude. Just being grateful, being thankful for what's still intact. Yes, a lot of things I got happening right now that probably aren't going the way that I intended on them to go. And that presents adversity for me. But my response to that is I'm trying not to complain. It ain't easy. Because I'm telling you, if you wanted to just get going with some complaints, I can pull out a nice size book for you and we can go through it one by one. But I'm trying to resist the urge to be negative. That's the point I'm getting at. Resist the urge to be negative. Resist the urge to be negative. Gratitude goes a long way. Even if no one else knows it. If it's something that you just do personally when you get up in the morning and saying thank you, thank you that I can get up. Thank you that I have the activity of my limbs. Thank you if you have children, that my children are good this morning. Thank you that my spouse is good. Just different things that we take for granted until we're faced with something like a tragedy, and it causes us to it forces us rather to be grateful now, because now you realize what you had now that it's gone. I don't want to be in a position where I have to be forced to realize how great, how fortunate I was. Past tense. No, I don't want to do that. I've been doing that a lot around my house, just looking around and just feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. I had a moment like that just on Saturday this past week. It was a beautiful day outside, and when we were getting ready to leave, I'm looking out. I told my wife, I'm saying, I'm just like overwhelmed with gratitude right now. I feel so grateful just to be, just to be. It ain't even nothing specific. I know that's terrible English. It ain't even nothing specific, but I'm just grateful just to be. When we look over the numbers of people who've lost their lives due to this nonsense, I call it nonsense, that's going on. I mean, just it's so many people, over 600,000 people alone that's lost their lives due to what's going on. But I'm still here, right? And I'm still able to add value to someone. I'm still able to do what I love to do, right? I'm still able to see my family. It might not be under the circumstances that I'd like, when we do certain things because we're all masked up and all this kind of stuff that we have to do that we don't like. But I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I feel like and this is not a political thing, but I feel like if this nation would change their focus and focus on gratitude, focus on a lot more things in terms of instead of complaining, instead of finding something to argue about, instead of finding something to get into a political war about or a biological war, whatever the case may be, if we would practice a little bit more gratitude, I feel like all of us would be a little better off, right? Didn't mean to sidetrack and go down a rabbit hole with that one, but those are the thoughts I wanted to share this morning. It's not a lot, but those are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share. Don't allow people to alter your journey. This is not necessarily gratitude, but we did start off talking about, we have to be so many different things as musicians. We're required, even if you work in a regular 9 to 5, you're required to play a role. Don't allow people to rob you of who you are, who you truly are, what you came here with, these dreams, these ideas, these goals that you came here with. Don't allow people to rob you of that. They don't get to do that. Don't allow people to take from you what God gave you, your creativity, your thoughts, your wisdom, your ideas that don't make sense to anybody else. Guess what? They don't have to. They don't have to. I'm so excited. I have a record that we're finishing up. Dreams Work Reality Part 2. If you haven't heard Part 1, go get it. It's Jermaine Morgan Band. It's Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. You can find it. Dreams Work Reality. That's my band album. I have several albums myself, but that's the first band record that I did. And there's a Part 2 that we're nearly finished with. I'm doing some final touches on it, and I'm hoping that it will be released next month. God willing, it will be released next month if everything goes to plan. If not, I'll keep you posted, but I'm hoping at best we can get it out October. It's going to be a push, but I think we can do it. But I'm so happy about the music that's being created for this particular project because I'm being completely honest. I'm being completely honest with the music, and I honestly don't care if people don't like it. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't care if people don't like it. And I say that with a smile on my face because in the back of my mind, I know people are going to like it. I know somebody is going to like it, but I'm not creating it for people to like it. Now, I am creating it to be of help to people, to add value to people. I want it to be some good listening. There's some funky stuff on there. There's some easy listening and some riding music stuff on there. And there's some stuff that's, just going to lift your spirits when you hear it. It's a lot of diversity in this record. And in the songs that God gave me, I didn't hold back with the songs. Oftentimes as a producer, you have to hold back and kind of submit yourself to the artist that you're working with or submit yourself to what the industry wants. This ain't an industry record right here. It's not. I have no intentions on trying to please the industry by no means. right? I'm not trying to follow anybody's rules with this particular album, and that's one of the reasons I'm excited about it, because I'm not allowing people to rob me of my creativity. What's in my head, that's what's in my head. How I present it, that's how it's gonna come out. People can accept it or reject it. That is not. I'm not trying to please people with what I create. Now, there's a separation now in business. There are things that I do create because I know the public wants a certain thing, and this solves a problem, and it's an answer to a need. I do those type things, right? I, like with the gospel jam packs and all these different courses and bass lessons and all this kind of stuff. So I'm not dumb to the fact of there is a need to create certain things as a creator that solve problems specifically. But this one, I get to be free on it because this is just a form of expression for me, to be completely honest. So I wanted to make sure I made that distinction, because I did create a lane for me to do that. And I'm not allowing people to rob me of that freedom and that opportunity to do that. All right. So I'm going to read these comments from the bottom backwards because I feel like if I don't, I'm gonna miss stuff that people said recently, and I'll go back. All right. So Floppy says, "Ooh, it is." We'll have a listen later, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You looked up on Amazon and you found it. And Andrew, good morning to you, man. Thank you. Love it, Jermaine. Positive things, even the little things. Great stuff. Yes, sir. Good word, Jermaine. Team Ramrod, thank you, sir. Attitude of gratitude, sound words of advice, love yourself, celebrate your progress and success. Absolutely. Uh, Bruce Young, good morning to you, sir. Floyd says, yes, sir. Sao Paulo, Brazil is in the building. Jonathan, good morning to you. Good morning, Floyd. If I hadn't already said good morning to you. Too many victims instead of victors. I agree. Sometimes we can definitely be guilty of that. Tanya says, music for Jesus, rather. Love that song, one of my favorites. I think you're talking about Hallelujah. Nothing is too small of a win. No, not at all. I celebrate the small wins with a small. Oh, man. He said, with a small shot of alcohol. Whatever floats your boat. Afternoon, morning, everyone from South Africa, Cape Town. Good morning to you, Raymond. That's a diet plan for you. Find another way to celebrate besides eating. Yeah, right. So a cult says, hi, I sure do love eating. Was it still 4-4? Okay, I'm reading backwards. Music for Jesus. It's going to take me a minute to get back to what you said. Hey, Jermaine, I'm drunk. Well, we hope you get it together, Mr. Hedgehog. Uh, what what time signature are you playing in? I was playing in 4-4. I wasn't expecting it, but a professional musician told me the same thing last week. It's about being yourself and making it your own. Good word. Good stuff. Good stuff, Tiffany. Andrew Wood says, I agree. John Suggs said, I woke up this morning, so I'm playing with house money. If you woke up and can walk around, you have a shot for the day. Absolutely. Knowledge becomes wisdom when it's imparted on others with the focus of being to enrich. Hold on, I read that wrong. When it's imparted on others with the focus being to enrich and help others. Brother, you're wise beyond your years. To God be the glory, man. Peely, good morning to you, sir. Huntsville is in the building. Team Ramrod, never forget who you are. Whose you are. Good stuff. Diego, wisdom. Keep going, brother. Thank you, sir. Keep your focus on playing for the love of creating. If you put the power of your passion in the hands of someone else, they usually won't care for it like you do, like you would. I agree. I agree. Angel says, preach, speak on it, man. Getting thanks, getting thanks is good, but playing for the love of the craft is and has always been my motivation. Best thing is to get paid to do what you do. I'm sorry. Best thing is to get paid to do what you love. It's not work. Yeah, when you get paid for it, it's not work. Or when you're doing what you love. Let's change that. When you when you're doing what you love is not work, and then when you get paid to do what you love, it's definitely not work, right? Andrew in Wood says, "Good morning, Jermaine. I'm on the train coming home from an overnight. Happy to be live. Yes, sir, man. Be safe. Glad that you're here with us. But if you play wrong note, you will hear all about it. Yeah, you definitely hear all about it. Again, we're going all the way back. So Philip, man, appreciate you being here from Ghana. I think I got everybody. I think I got everybody. So good. I got everybody. I went back, reversed through the comments, and I think I touched everybody's comment. So yeah. So again, guys, those were just a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you all about gratitude versus adversity. Because the reality of it, adversity is coming. That boy, he's gonna be. He's like the mailman. Adversity comes. I'm not gonna say on time, but it comes. You can expect it if you're not going through some type of adversity. Be on the lookout. It's on the way. It's just a part of life, and we just have to learn how to respond to it, right? Respond to it rather than always reacting. It sounds good, like even here and now, it sounds good for me to say that, but to actually do it is hard, man. To respond versus react to whatever's going on is like, you know what? I'm gonna choose to handle this way instead of getting on the negative train. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off, and I'm gonna say something positive. I'm gonna do something that lifts my spirit. Even with us being online and feeding into negativity, it's like you could be using that time to be productive. I'm constantly having to get into my own collar. I talked about this a while back. You know, my go to when I'm working on music, or I'm bouncing something down, waiting on it to finish. I pick my phone up. I pick my phone up, start scrolling through some social media or something like that. And before you know it, it's like I have to get myself, come on, dude, get back to work, get back on it, because you can get caught up into something, and then you start seeing, I see all these different things that's going on in social media. I'm not going to even say it because I don't even want to bring it up on this particular live, but I see the latest news that's going on in social media, and you can get pulled into that and start feeling some type of way. You feel anxiety about it. Like, man, what's really going on? But it's like, no, let's get off of that. Let's focus on being productive. Because if I spend most of my time feeding into negativity, then that gratitude thing is out the window. And then when the adversity comes up, I'm going to be depressed because I've been feeding myself with the negativity of everything that's going on around me. So now when the negative stuff hits my house or hits me personally, I can't deal because I've been feeding myself this stuff. So we have to be careful about what we eat, right? You can't eat that junk food and expect to produce good stuff, right? So you got to be careful of what you allow in. Be mindful of the conversation that you have. I've said that like tons of times here. But anyway, guys, not to beat a dead horse with this, I just wanted to share some things this morning. Hopefully, again, this has been super helpful for all of you guys who are here with me this morning. And I'm going to jump off of here, and I will catch you guys on next week. Be on the lookout. I think we might be changing. I think we might be changing the time for Grooves and Motivation Live. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we might be changing the time. But I will let you know. And just kind of keep up in the community tab. Kind of respond. Check it every now and again and see if I posted anything in the community tab. I'll try to put up some type of video or something to let you guys know ahead of time, or follow me on social media, whatever the case may be. J Morgan Base on Instagram, at J Morgan Base on Twitter, and Jermaine Morgan on Facebook. So be sure to stay connected with me. Again, if the time changes, I'll try to let you guys know ahead of time. I might be changing times. This is not set in stone just yet, but I might be changing the times due to schedule changes for me. Life is still happening, and so with schedule changes and all that kind of stuff, I might be changing. It's not guaranteed, but I'll let you guys know. But I'll try my best to keep it going as long as I can. All right. So Mr. Hedgehog says, thank you, Jermaine. Enjoyed the boost of motivation you gave me this morning. Good stuff, man. I hope you, I hope you all right over there. Thank you again, sir. Floppy, my pleasure. Uh, Adio, thank you, sir. I think I said it right. Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank all of you. And I'm out. I'm really out this time. So have a blessed day. If you want to hear some more music, be sure search this channel. I'm playing all over this channel. I did videos and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to hear some more grooves, go check out some of my videos. All right, guys. Have a great day. I'm out. Much love. Peace.